another episode of The Distinguished Geek. So, Infinity War has just come out. I've seen it more than once. I can easily watch it again. But I obviously understand that maybe some of you haven't watched it yet, so no spoilers. I'm pretty sure a lot of you have watched it. But talking about spoilers, there will be a lot of spoilers in this episode of previous Marvel films, from Iron Man back in 2008 up to Spider-Man in 2017. So if you haven't seen any of those films, then please don't watch this episode, because I do not want to destroy those films for you. But here, so yes, turn off, go. Right, okay. Hello everybody else. So made me thinking. I saw the obviously the end credit sequence of Infinity War, and it made me think, well, let's look at all the end credit sequences and see how they pan out, how they've linked together, how they've sort of guided us to this current point of our lifetime of Infinity War, and see how the Easter eggs have shown us little teasers of upcoming films, maybe a bit of fun Easter eggs that have nothing relevant to the actual franchise as such, but maybe for the fans itself, just to, a bit of fun there. But yeah, it's quite interesting. So yes, so the next sequence you're going to see is from Iron Man in 2008, and you will see the first glimpse of first time actually we see Nick Fury, and he'll be talking to Tony Stark and how he wants to save the world. And it's essentially the first idea of the Avengers being born, a group of superheroes to save the world. With Tony Stark coming out and telling the world he's Iron Man, the MCU is set up for the biggest franchise we have known for years. When arriving back at his home, he's greeted by Nick Fury, the director of S.H.I.E.L.D., played by Samuel L. Jackson, who tells him he's now become part of a bigger universe, and that he's not the only superhero in the world. And he's actually here to talk about the Avenger Initiative. The next sequence is the end credits of The Incredible Hulk in 2008, and it's basically Tony Stark joking with General Ross how he prefers to use technology instead of biogenically altering humans to make super soldiers. Funny Captain America isn't around in this sequence, eh? Tony Stark reminds General Ross that the super soldier program was halted for a good reason, referring to the program that created Captain America back in the 40s, and coming after the program to repeat the tests would inevitably create a monster such as the Hulk. Kevin Feige, the CEO of Marvel Studios, admitted that this scene almost cocked up the MCU continuous links, as this scene was never continued in any of the other films, and probably the least important credit scene year to date. The next sequence is obviously the end of the credits of Iron Man 2 back in 2010, and essentially it's just an Easter egg for the upcoming film Thor, with good old Agent Carlson finding Thor's hammer in the middle of the desert. This particular scene was directed by Kenneth Branagh, who directed the movie Thor itself. This was achievable due to the fact that Thor was in production while Iron Man 2 had finished production. This type of post-credit scene is very much a mini trailer for the next upcoming movie, and it set the mold for the post-credits for the next few movies. So the next sequence is the end credits of Thor back in 2011, and it's Dr. Selvig meeting with Nick Fury about examining the Tesseract Cube, which will feature in Captain America First Avenger. Now, it's not actually a stone at this current moment, but it's the first glimpse of the Space Infinity Stone. The Tesseract Cube first pops up in Captain America First Avenger, which is the next upcoming movie. And as we all know, the cube goes down with Captain America as he ditches in the ocean towards the end of the film. The cube is also the main focus point in Avengers Assemble in 2012. This scene links the two films together and gives us a glimpse of the storyline. So the next sequence is the end credits of Captain America First Avenger back in 2011. And it's basically just letting us know that Captain America will return in the Avengers, and also showing Nick Fury talking to Steve Rogers about saving the world, essentially leading us up to the Avengers in 2012. This mid-credit scene was merely a setup for the Avengers, rather than a teaser trailer for an upcoming film, with the line from Steve Rogers asking Nick Fury if he's trying to get him back into the world, with Nick Fury replying, "I'm trying to save it." However, Captain America would be the last solo film before the band of heroes grouped together in 2012. So the next sequence isn't really a sequence as such, it's amongst the credits itself at the end of Avengers 2012, and it's basically setting us up for the Avengers 2. And by this, all they've done is put the actors' names amongst the equipment and clothing, so we know who they are. So basically what they've done is put Chris Evans with the Captain America shield, and they put Mark Ruffalo with some torn clothing, and you'll see Chris Hemsworth with Thor's hammer. So it's essentially just leading us up to Avengers 2, so we know who the characters and the actors are. So I like a little touch on that, I do like. Yeah, so here we come. The Avengers kickstarts the journey of the franchise with its mission heading to the Infinity War. With the individual character films such as Thor and Iron Man, which have their own storylines and missions, they are still linked, giving us more information for the endgame. So the next sequence in the Avengers is the first glimpse of Thanos, when he has been reported to by the commander of the Chitauri army, basically telling him that the people of Earth may be harder to rule than they first thought. This scene is the biggest reveal to the fans, as the commander, who goes by the name of Other, tells his master that it's foolish to fight the humans and the only way to challenge them is to court death. We finally see that Thanos is the one behind everything. Thanos has been the biggest threat to the Avengers in the comic series, with Infinity Stones popping up in previous movies and post-credits. Fans can finally link the two and now know MCU is keeping to the comics. The question is, will it end like the famous 1991 6-part issue Infinity Gauntlet limited series where Thanos snaps his fingers? And the final sequence in the Avengers is essentially a joke as such. So it's basically all the Avengers sitting at Shawarma in silence, basically a link to a joke that Tony Stark had made towards the end of the film about after they've won this battle, he wouldn't mind eating at a shawarma. This was the reference to that one there. So yeah. This scene doesn't have any connection to the film apart from when Tony Stark mentioned it towards the end of the movie. The scene was put in as a joke and supposedly was shot on the night of the world premiere and was edited onto the film before it was shown in the cinemas. When the scene was shot, Chris Evans had a beard, hence him looking bored and resting on his fist. It was merely to hide his face from the camera. So the next sequence is at the end of the credits of Iron Man 3 in 2013, and it's a bit of a funny sketch between Tony Stark and Bruce Banner, where Tony Stark is talking to Bruce Banner and he's mistaking him to be a therapist, a wrong kind of doctor. That Bruce Banner is. Rumours were that there was going to be an upcoming teaser for the Guardians of the Galaxy, but there wasn't. Apparently within that sequence there was a slight sort of reveal, but it's not really clear. But yeah, the rumours were that was going to, so a few people were a bit disappointed, because I think it was leaked, but here you go, yeah, so that was a little comic sketch on that one there. This scene was put in as a joke, supposedly due to audiences commenting on the bromance, if you will, between Mark Ruffalo and Robert Downey Jr. in The Avengers. Bringing the two characters together again was a response to the fans. The whole therapist scene was merely keeping to the theme of the Iron Man 3 movie, which essentially was about Tony Stark's PTSD. The next sequence is in the end, after the first set of credits in Thor: The Dark World in 2013, and it's Sif and Volstagg meeting the Collector and handing him the Aether, which is the first glimpse of the Reality Stone, and also is the first glimpse of the Collector before his debut in the upcoming film Guardians of the Galaxy. This scene is an Easter egg cocktail. This is a little nudge to the fans, letting them know the Guardians of the Galaxy is on its way. And setting it in stone, excuse the pun, by introducing the Collector, played by Benicio del Toro, who received the Aether from Volstagg and Sif. When asked why they don't keep it safe on Asgard, Volstagg replies, "It's not wise to keep two Infinity Stones together in one place, as they already have the Tesseract Cube." After Volstagg and Sif leave, the Collector sinisterly says, "1 down, 5 to go." This now confirms that 2 Infinity Stones are now present, and the fight with Thanos is looking ever more likely after he was revealed at the end of the Avengers. So the next scene or sequence in the credits of Thor: The Dark World is actually Thor heading back to Earth. Previously in the film, you would have seen that Loki was disguised as the king of Asgard and obviously encouraged Thor to go down to Earth. So he's gone to Earth to be with his love, Jane Foster. Very much like how Iron Man retired in Iron Man 3 and Captain America hanging up his shield in his next film. So this is the sequence now from Thor. This scene ties up loose ends regarding Thor's and Jane's relationship, as it was a plot in the movie. And a fitting end due to Thor having to depart back to Asgard after receiving help from Jane and her friends to defeat Malekith. However, this could be bidding farewell to Natalie Portman from the MCU. So the next sequence is at the end credits of Captain America Winter Soldier in 2014, and we see Baron Wolfgang von Strucker, the leader of Hydra, talking about the failed attempt of taking down S.H.I.E.L.D. Now we also see that they're in possession of Loki's staff, and essentially it's not the first glimpse, because we've seen the staff before, but it is the glimpse of the next Reality Stone, which is the Mind Stone. We also see the Scarlet Witch, and we see Quicksilver, also known as the Twins, and a little teaser of what's to come in the next Avengers Age of Ultron film. This scene is telling us that Captain America may have won the battle, but he hasn't won the war. With the possession of the alien technology, von Strucker is experimenting on, as he describes, as volunteers to create super soldiers. In many cases, he has failed, with the exception of the twins, Quicksilver and the Scarlet Witch. Not only is this scene an afterthought between S.H.I.E.L.D. and Hydra, it also sets us up for the upcoming movie, The Avengers Age of Ultron. Now the final sequence in the end credits of The Winter Soldier is the Winter Soldier himself, also known as Bucky Barnes, walking through a Captain America exhibit in the Smithsonian, and he sees a picture of himself. Now, I like to think personally that it's a little bit of an Easter egg for the fans, because in the comics wise, we know that Captain America dies and Bucky takes reign as Captain America and takes hold of the shield. Now, I don't know if this was what it is, but I like to think that it's a slight little play there with him being in the exhibit, and it's like telling us possibly, if they're going to keep it to how it should be in the comics, that Bucky could be taking the reins of Captain America. We'll soon see. With Bucky Barnes standing in the Smithsonian, we can confirm that he's still alive and not in fact dead after the battle with Captain America. As Bucky stands in front of an exhibit of himself, are we given a choice that Bucky can remember who he was and redeem his past, or is he seeking revenge? Nevertheless, this scene is setting us up for Captain America Civil War in 2016. So the next film is Guardians of the Galaxy in 2014. Now this next sequence would be the scene with Baby Groot dancing behind Drax, but I'm not showing that one because it's not that it's boring, it's just, I'm not showing that one. So we're going to move to the next sequence, which would be the Collector sitting in nowhere, and you get the glimpse of Howard the Duck, which pretty sure that's Ben Stiller did the voice of. Now, it could just be a fun Easter egg for us, or it could be a teaser of an upcoming film with Howard the Duck. I have seen the previous one. I mean, I'm talking about back in the 80s. I remember seeing it at 3 o'clock in the morning at some point when I was younger. But I've seen the original Howard the Duck. It's a bit weird, so I'm not sure how they'll do it this one. But I'm pretty sure it starred Richard Dreyfuss, if I can remember correctly. Yeah, but if you also notice, the dog licking the collector is Cosmo, which essentially is the dog that Russians sent into space. If you look at his spacesuit he's wearing, it's the I think it's CCCP. Yeah, so little history links in there as well. If I far as I'm aware, I'm not sure if it's true or not, but Cosmo and Rocket are linked, as in I think they were tested or something like that. So, but don't quote me on that. But I think, yeah, somewhere along the line they are linked. But yeah. So here's the scene. Once again, this scene is an Easter egg cocktail. There's no setup for any upcoming films or clues for the MCU, but essentially just some fun gifts to the fans, with Cosmo the space dog and Howard the Duck voiced by Seth Green. As far as it stands, there's no upcoming films with these characters, but you never know. So there's only one sequence in this next film, which is the Avengers, Age of Ultron, in 2015, and it's a mid-credit sequence, and essentially it was just Thanos reaching for the gauntlet, no Infinity Stones in there, essentially saying that fine, I'll do it myself. So he's on the way. This mid-credit scene shows Thanos grabbing the gauntlet, which can house 6 Infinity Stones. With the failed attempts from villains he sent out to collect the stones, such as Loki to hunt for the Space Stone and Ronan for the Power Stone, you hear Thanos speak out loud to himself, saying, fine, I'll do it myself. With Thanos being first introduced 3 years prior in the post-credits of Avengers Assemble in 2012, it's only fitting that he should show up again in an Avengers sequel. It's safe to say that Thanos is en route to create the iconic finger snap, but with Infinity War only 3 years away and no stones in his possession, will he succeed? So there's 2 sequences in the end of this film, which is Ant-Man in 2015, and the first one is a mid-credit sequence, and it's basically just setting us up to the sequel, Ant-Man and Wasp, and you see Evangeline, the actress, standing in front of the costume of the Wasp, which will be epic. So I can't wait for that one to come out. But yeah, so that's this next sequence. This scene is merely a trailer for the upcoming film Ant-Man and the Wasp, due in 2018, and that the character Hope, played by Evangeline Lilly, will take over from her mother, who we find out got lost in the quantum realm. So the next sequence is you see Sam Wilson and Steve Rogers in the garage with Bucky Barnes, not really in a great way, in great shape. Bit of a predicament really, and then you get some help. Obviously they can't go down a route of getting hold of Tony Stark or anything, because obviously issues there. And then you obviously hear Sam Wilson say, I know a guy, which obviously he's referring to Ant-Man. This little clip you're seeing now is actually taken from a scene in Captain America Civil War. So again, it's a teaser, just leading you up to the film that's coming out very, very soon. This scene is a clip from the next film, Captain America Civil War, out in 2016, with Bucky captured and Sam Wilson and Steve Rogers on their own in a bit of a predicament. Sam suggests they call on the guy he knows, that being Scott Lang. Not only is this setting us up for what is to be an amazing on-screen action of a collection of Marvel characters, we now know Ant-Man will be joining the ensemble. So the next sequence is a mid-credit sequence in Captain America Civil War in 2016. Essentially we see Bucky Barnes having a medical examination on his shot off metal arm. We see Steve Rogers and Black Panther standing together in a Wakandian facility. So it's obviously showing that Bucky is now, coming across back to the Avengers, but also it's a teaser to set us up to the upcoming Black Panther film coming out in 2018. This scene shows Bucky and Steve Rogers in Wakanda, where Bucky is put into cryosleep until they can find a way to help him escape the brainwashing performed by Hydra. This is the last we will see of Bucky until the Infinity War in 2018. This scene also plays as a teaser for the Black Panther movie, also out in 2018. So the post-credit sequence in the Captain America Civil War is the teaser for the new Spider-Man Homecoming film coming out in 2017. Well, it already has been. As you can see, Spider-Man, or Tom Holland, however you want to see him, is obviously wearing a device and is projecting something onto the ceiling. So obviously that's a gift that's come from Tony Stark, and as we are well aware that Tony Stark has taken Spider-Man under his wing in this film. So again, it's a little link and an Easter egg of what's to come. This scene shows Peter Parker, played by Tom Holland, finding that Tony Stark has made him digital and upgraded his web shooter. This teaser tells us that Tony Stark will have a part to play in Peter's life in the movie. Nevertheless, a well-anticipated movie. The next sequence is from Doctor Strange 2016, and you see Doctor Strange and you see Thor talking together about asking why Thor's on Earth, and Thor explains that he's looking for his dad. And so Doctor Strange basically is happy to help him to find him so he can get back up to Asgard. Now, as much as that's interesting it is, the most exciting bit of this is obviously this is a little setup for Thor Ragnarok. So that's a little teaser they did there. So that was quite exciting when I saw that one. Ragnarok was a cracking film. I do love it. So yeah. This scene is a clip from Thor Ragnarok, and you see Thor asking Stephen Strange for his help to find his father Odin. Stephen Strange realises that the sooner he helps Thor and Loki find their father, the sooner he can get them off Earth and out the way. So the next sequence, we see Mordo visiting Pangborn, and he recalls how Pangborn was brought on a stretcher to Kamar-Taj, paralysed, and how he is now walking. So Mordo's not really happy that how the power was used selfishly, and so as you see, he takes the power away from Pangborn and he's crippled again. And so he says too many sorcerers, which obviously that means he's on a vengeance to kill all the sorcerers. So look out, Doctor Strange. It's good to see that he's a dark, because obviously in the comics wise, Mordo, it was an actual enemy of Doctor Strange. Obviously in the film he was a mentor at the beginning of the film, and obviously now you're seeing he's dark, and obviously it's nice to see how Mordo has become dark, and I don't think this is probably going to be the last we see of him. Watch this space. This scene shows that Mordo is angry that the magic is being used selfishly and to benefit one's own illness. Mordo is Doctor Strange's archenemy in the comics, and this scene sets up Mordo on the right path, a violent one of that. And it's safe to say that Mordo will be back in Doctor Strange 2, where he rightly belongs. So the next sequence is at the end of Guardians of the Galaxy 2, and you see Kraglin trying to use the Yaka arrow unsuccessfully, and obviously then you can clearly see that the arrow hits the wind and it shoots it straight into Drax. Quite a funny scene that is. But basically the main thing from this scene is that it's now leading us up to telling us that Kraglin has a bigger role to play in Guardians of the Galaxy 3. This scene shows Kraglin, played by Sean Gunn, trying to control Yondu's arrow. This may be a clue that Kraglin may step up where Yondu has left off in the upcoming movies. Sean Gunn also plays Rocket Raccoon on set, so the visual effects artist can CGI Rocket into the scenes. So the next sequence in Guardians of the Galaxy 2, you're thinking, huh? Well, these people consists of the original Guardians of the Galaxy. So they consist of Starhawk, Charlie 27, Alita Orgard, who essentially is the female Starhawk. It's a bit hard to explain how she is involved, so there's a book you can read, which I'll show you in a minute. You've got Martinex, which basically is the ice crystal looking guy. You've got Kruger, who is a worm-like species who actually succeeded Doctor Strange, and Mainframe, who is a robotic head. Now, this is the book here. That one there. So obviously it's all about Guardians of the Galaxy, and it's all about the timeline and how it leads to the Guardians of the Galaxy we know now. I mean, it starts right at the beginning, to the point where how we learned how Groot was exiled from Planet X and came to Earth and caused havoc. So yeah, so it's a good read. It's quite good. So yeah, so that's it called there. Yeah. It tells you all about the original Guardians of the Galaxy. But here's the sequence. These are the original Guardians of the Galaxy when the comics first came out. This scene shows the original Guardians of the Galaxy getting back together, with Sylvester Stallone as Starhawk, Ving Rhames as Charlie 27, Michelle Yeoh as Alita Orgard, Michael Rosebums as Martinex, and Kruger and Mainframe. Mainframe is voiced by Miley Cyrus. There is rumours that this team may be back in the bigger parts or a movie itself. The final sequence is actually quite a big sequence because it's setting us up obviously for Guardians 3, but there's also lots of things happening in this sequence. So for one thing, it's also leaking the next Infinity Stone, which is the Soul Stone. So where you hear the reference of Adam, it's referring to the next character, which is Adam Warlock, who is a supreme being, and he possesses the Soul Stone. So Adam Warlock is more likely going to be featured in Guardians 3. Now also rumours has said that Guardians 3 is actually going to be based and set after the Infinity War. But we'll soon see. This scene shows Aisha furious with the Guardians of the Galaxy and has created an artificial being to destroy the Guardians. She names him Adam. This sets us up for the character called Adam Warlock. Supposedly Adam Warlock was going to be in Guardians 2, but due to too many characters, the impact may have been dampened. Rest assured, Adam will have a big part to play in Guardians 3. So the next sequence, it comes from the credits of Spider-Man Homecoming in 2017. And you see Adrian Toomes, also known as the Vulture, talking to Matt Gargan, also known as the Scorpion. So Matt's obviously asking Adrian that Adrian knows the identity of Spider-Man, but Adrian will not obviously give him up. Now that's either two things. That's either been he's really grateful the fact that he's saved his daughter and obviously saved Adrian's life, but also the second obviously is that it essentially guarantees that the Vulture will not be now featured in Spider-Man 2, because he's written himself out. There's no guarantee, obviously certain, that the Scorpion will now be featuring in the sequel, but more likely Scorpion will be the new villain. Either that, it's just a really fun Easter egg for the fans to have the Scorpion in there, because obviously Scorpion has always been a villain to Spider-Man in the comics. I mean, he's chased him right through the whole comic series, so it could just be a little Easter egg fun, but who knows? We'll find out. This scene is actually a big one, as essentially it cuts the Vulture out of any upcoming Spider-Man movies, due to the fact that he's not prepared to give up Peter, as he's grateful for saving his life. But is this just a ruse? Will Adrian be back in the Sinister Six? The Sinister Six is a band of villains who were founded by Dr. Octopus. This gang consists of Dr. Octopus, Electro, Sandman, Kraven, Mysterio, and the Vulture himself. The final sequence of Spider-Man is by far my favourite end of credit sequences in the whole Marvel universe so far, and it's basically Captain America walking up, doing his PSAs, and basically telling us the value of patience, telling us basically that the value of patience, you can wait till the end, but that doesn't guarantee you'll get what you want. And we've been so groomed over the 10 years to know to wait to the end of the credits to see an Easter egg or see a teaser for the upcoming film. And the fact is that we've waited all this time only to find out that you don't get what you want all the time. But it's a cracking, I do love it, and I think it's my favourite of all time. I remember sitting there with my wife, just waiting to see what happens, and I got that, and I laughed my head off. It was a cracking one. So there we go. So that's it. So that's the last sequence. So yeah, here we go. So you've been waiting for the full credits to finish, hoping to get another trailer for an upcoming film, or maybe even a glimpse of the Infinity War. Instead, you get Captain America. Well, fantastic. Let's see what he has to say. Captain America looks at the camera and says, "Hi, I'm Captain America. I'm here to talk to you about one of the most valuable traits a soldier or student can have: patience. Sometimes patience is the key to victory. Sometimes it leads to very little. Seems like it's not worth it, and you wonder why you waited so long for something so disappointing. How many of you were sitting in the cinema watching people walk out and you were saying to yourself, you're going to miss a good bit? Well played, Captain America." There we go, guys. Obviously, I haven't shown a clip of Ragnarok, and I haven't shown you a clip of the Infinity War, because they're really recent films, and I know there's a lot of people who haven't seen Ragnarok yet. Pretty much all the films I've shown you, or the clips, I know so many people watch that, so but I'm not going to spoil the last two films because they're so recent, and obviously Black Panther obviously there as well. So yeah, those three films are really recent. So yeah, but they are cracking films, aren't they? So yeah, so we are. Right, thank you once again. Hope you enjoy the video. Please like, share, and subscribe. Fairly new channel, so please just let people know about the channel. I'll be truly grateful. Yes, and I'll hopefully see you soon in another episode. Lovely guys, thank you once again for watching, and I shall see you soon. Goodbye. As far as I'm aware, I'm not sure if it's true or not, but Cosmo and Rocket are linked, as in I think they were tested or something like that. So, but don't quote me on that. But I think, yeah, somewhere along the line they are linked. Cosmo was launched into space by the Soviet Union. However, Cosmo's rocket drifted into space where he mutated, gaining human-level intelligence, powers of telepathy and telekinesis. In time, he found his way to Nowhere, the bizarre space station inside a giant severed head, and won the position of station security. There he met Nova, last of the Nova Corps, and the pair became friends when they teamed up to keep the station safe. This eventually led them to cross paths with Drax, Gamora, and the other Guardians. To the Guardians, Cosmo was a cherished and trusted team member who was able to give them teleport bracelets and even joined on the occasional mission. Towards Rocket, they were teamed up originally and eventually became friends. There was a note early on in one of the comics where it said, as Rocket noted, "Talking pets gives me the willies." When Cosmo asked why Rocket was always so hostile towards him, Rocket replied that he couldn't shake the feeling that Cosmo was about to chase him up a tree.